Difference today is Tu B'Av. Today is the 15th of Av, and the Mishnah Maseches Taanis records an amazing statement. Reb Shimon Gamliel says, Lo hayu yomim tovim liyisrael ki chamisha asar b'Av v'Yom Kippurim. There were no greater days for Klal Yisrael than the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur. So says the Gemara, I understand why Yom Kippur is such a great day. Yom Kippur is a day of Slichot Mechila. Yom Kippur is a day of forgiveness. Nothing is better than forgiveness. Forgiveness represents a second chance, or for some of us a third chance, or maybe a 27th chance, or a 45th chance, whatever number chance you're up to. But every year Yom Kippur, Baruch Hashem, gives us a taburas, a blank slate. So I understand why Yom Kippur is an incredibly happy and simchadik day. But what's so special about Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av? And the Gemara actually relates a number of different events that occurred on the 15th of Av. The Gemara says on the 15th of Av, during our 40th year of the sojourn in the desert, no one died. No one died, meaning what? We know that as a result of the sin of the spies, the Chet HaMeraglim, Klal Yisrael was condemned. Anyone above the age of 20 would not enter into the land. That was the decree. On the 15th of Av, in the 40th year in the desert, no one died. No one died. Every year again around Tisha B'Av, there would be another cohort that would pass away. And the last year, the 40th year in the desert, by the time the 15th of Av rolled around, they realized no one had passed away, and they understood that that meant that the decree was fulfilled. The decree was over. Another reason the Gemara says why Tu B'Av is such an incredibly happy day is because after the massacre and the downfall of the city of Beitar, the city of Beitar was the last holdout, the last stronghold during the Bar Kokhba rebellion. When the Romans decimated Beitar in order to teach the residents, the Jewish people, a lesson, they did not allow the Jewish people to bury our dead. And as such, they left them out in the field to decompose. But a miracle happened. The bodies did not decompose. Nothing happened. And finally, on the 15th of Av, permission was given to go ahead and bury the residents, the dead of Beitar. The Gemara says, Rav Masna Amar Yom Shenitnu Haruge Beitar Likvura. It was the days in the Tu B'Av, 15th of Av, was the day in which the dead of Beitar were finally given over to burial. So it's interesting. And again, the Gemara gives many different ideas as to the symbolism, to the happiness, to the simcha of Tu B'Av. But I don't know, these two always caught my eye. This idea that in the desert, in year number 40, by the time Tu B'Av came and no one passed away, they realized that the decree was over. Now the decree was over because everyone finished dying. It wasn't like the decree was suspended. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, whoever was 20 and over at the time of the sin of the spies is not going into the land of Israel. So comes year number 40, everyone had died out. In Beitar, incredible devastation, horrific, barbaric decree against the people. People wiped out, thousands upon thousands killed, the dead left in the field. And finally on the 15th of Av, the Romans allowed us to bury our dead. Okay, I understand it, but at the end of the day, why is that cause for simcha? And I think the common denominator between these two events is they both represented the ability to move forward. And year number 40, when the generation of the desert had died out, those above the age of 20, that opened the door for entry into Eretz Yisrael. That Tu B'Av, that 15th of Av in year number 40, told Klal Yisrael, we are now ready to write the next chapter. When one loses a loved one, as painful as that is, burial is the first step to acceptance and ultimately closure. On the 15th of Av, the Romans finally gave us the opportunity to bury our dead after the dead miraculously did not decompose. And that miracle allowed us to move ourselves forward. The simcha of Tu B'Av, is the ability to close one chapter in order to be able to move on and to write something new. And I think if you look at Tu B'Av and the progression of the Jewish calendar, something amazing happens, which is that there's Tisha B'Av. There's the Bein HaMetzarim, the 3 weeks culminating in Tisha B'Av, where sometimes we feel such overwhelming pain, such overwhelming loss. And yet there are moments throughout the Bein HaMetzarim, the moments on Tisha B'Av itself, where the pain is so acute that you even wonder, is there a future? Then Tisha B'Av is over. We go into Shabbos Nachamu. We catch our breath. And we recognize that as much as we thought maybe with all the pain, all the loss, there was no future, Shabbos Nachamu allows us to understand that there is going to be a future. And then we come to Tu B'Av. And what does Tu B'Av say? Tu B'Av says that sometimes you have to close the door on the past in order to be able to move forward. You have to close the door on the desert in order to be able to enter into Eretz Yisrael. You have to bury the dead of Beitar in order to move yourself forward. The Simcha of Tu B'Av is the ability to reflect on the past, to learn from the past, but then to close the door on the past. As I've said many times, the most incredible words in the entire Shas are 3 words: My Dahava Hava. What was. There's a power to learning from the past. There's even a power at times to living in the past. But the ultimate important koach of the Yid is the ability to learn, to reflect, then close the door, and then move forward. I can't spend my time living in the past. I need to learn from it, glean from it, and then I need to write something new. Tu B'Av is the day in which we say, okay, I can close the chapter on the desert. I can close the chapter on Beitar, and now I could devote my energies and really shift my focus to building a beautiful future. And then we come into Yamim Noraim. Then we prepare ourselves, first of all, again, for once again, a reckoning for the past, a reflection on how I spent the last year, but then really a gearing up to embrace the brand new year ahead. But you can't get into the season of Elul, and you can't get into the season of Tshuva, and you can't get ready for Yamim Noraim unless, of course, you first undergo a real Tu B'Av. And dear friends, that's today. Today is a day where, as individuals and as a nation, we say, My Dahava Hava. The past was the past. The Tisha B'Av was the Tisha B'Av. Shabbos Nachamu was fantastic. And now, I'm ready to a certain degree to kind of close the door on the past in order to be able to maximize my future. I'm ready to venture into something new. I'm ready to embrace something new. And perhaps also this is why Tu B'Av classically is the day that is associated with Shidduchim. Because sometimes in order to build a healthy marriage and to be able to build healthy relationships, every relationship has its trauma, and every relationship has its difficulties, and every relationship has its challenges. And if you bring every single relationship challenge with you in every single moment throughout a marriage, throughout any relationship, you can't move forward. So much of successful marital dynamics is the ability to suffer defeat in the context of a marriage and then say, you know what, that was that. Now we're going to go on to build something new. This is the power of Tu B'Av. The day in which we say, I've learned from my past, I've reflected from my past, now I'm done with that. I'm going to close the door, and I'm ready to devote myself to building something beautiful. We should be Zochem Eretz Hashem, to find that koach as individuals and as a nation, to learn from our past, reflect on our past, but now, from Tu B'Av going forward, to focus our energies on building a beautiful individual future, a beautiful collective future. How we should be zoch in the days to see beautiful brachas, Yeshuas v'nechamas. We should be zoch Eretz Hashem to greet the Geula Shlema va'asida b'mehera b'yameinu. Amen.